Thank you, Sheena. We're also developing news out of Massachusetts tonight, where the suspect accused of shooting and killing a police officer and a bystander in Weymouth faced a judge.
Emmanuel Lopes is accused of shooting Officer Michael Chesna to death this weekend before exchanging gunfire with police. He then reportedly fired 3 shots into a home's window, killing a 77-year-old woman.
And a large show of support for Sergeant Chesna today. Our cameras captured officers from several different departments in court for today's arraignment.
Eyewitness News reporter Steph Machado was in court and is in Quincy now with the details. Steph.
It was quite a moment to be in that courtroom with dozens of police officers, including Sergeant Chesna's own brothers and sisters from the Weymouth PD, as the man accused of gunning down that officer was just feet away. Dozens of police officers march into Quincy District Court Tuesday afternoon, filling up the rows, the Weymouth police chief in front, as Emmanuel Lopes is wheeled in wearing a hospital gown, the man accused of killing Weymouth Sergeant Michael Chesna and 77-year-old Vera Adams.
Defendant's severity of his crimes.
Assistant District Attorney Greg Connor describing what happened on Sunday when Sergeant Chesna caught Lopes allegedly vandalizing a house.
The defendant was approximately 10 to 12 feet away from him when he threw a large stone, approximately half the size of, say, a basketball or a soccer ball. Double-handed throw over his head, striking Officer Chesna in the head. Officer Chesna immediately fell to the ground and dropped his firearm. The defendant was then observed picking up that firearm and eventually firing several times at Officer Chesna's head and torso.
Connor says that's when Officer Sean Murphy arrived and shot Lopes in the leg. He ran away with the gun.
Lost his shoe, and Vera Adams was standing, it's believed, by her window at the back of her house. The defendant still had Officer Chesna's firearm and fired 3 times at Miss Adams.
Lopes' defense attorney argued Lopes should be sent to the Bridgewater State Hospital for a competency evaluation.
He has a long and detailed history of psychiatric disorders.
The judge disagreed, sending Lopes to jail as he awaits trial for murder. So many here on the South Shore are grieving the loss of Sergeant Chesna and Vera Adams. Coming up new at 6, one police captain talks about law enforcement coming together in times of tragedy. In Quincy, I'm Steph Machado, Eyewitness News.
Tonight, new details from prosecutors on the man now charged with the murders of a Weymouth police officer and an elderly woman.
Today, the suspect went before a judge in Quincy. Eyewitness News reporter Steph Machado was there. She joins us from the mobile newsroom.
A difficult day here in Quincy as police officers and family members of Sergeant Chesna sat in the same room as the man accused of killing him and Vera Adams. Emmanuel Lopes in a wheelchair and hospital gown, sitting in a Quincy courtroom in front of the Weymouth police brothers and sisters of Sergeant Michael Chesna. Lopes is accused of killing him and 77-year-old Vera Adams on Sunday.
The defendant was approximately 10 to 12 feet away from him when he threw a large stone, approximately half the size of, say, a basketball or a soccer ball.
Assistant District Attorney Greg Connor says Chesna fell to the ground, dropping his gun, Lopes allegedly picking it up and shooting him in the head and torso. Another officer arriving on scene and shooting Lopes, who ran away.
He climbed over a fence, lost his shoe, and Vera Adams was standing, it's believed, by her window at the back of her house. The defendant still had Officer Chesna's firearm and fired 3 times at Miss Adams.
The community grieving for Chesna and Adams, officers from different departments marching into court in support.
And every time we go out in the street like that, you never know if you're going to come home to your loved ones.
Quincy Police Captain John Dugan telling us what it's like for police to sit in that courtroom watching an alleged cop killer.
It's very traumatic because now they've just lost a young officer. They work with him every day, and now he's gone. It's very frustrating, and it's very upsetting for the officers.
And not guilty pleas were entered for Lopes' charges. His defense attorney asked the judge to send him to a state hospital for a psychiatric evaluation, but the judge denied that request. He is being held without bail. In Quincy, I'm Steph Machado, Eyewitness News.